Hello everybody. This video tutorial has been designed as a support material for the practical sessions of the Machine Learning in Biomedical Engineering course of the Biomedical Engineering degree of University CEU San Pablo. It assumes that previously you have gone through the content of the theoretical sessions of the course. The first thing I'm going to do is launch the installation of AI Studio, the software we'll be using. It's simple to install once you have the executable. You just have to double click and accept all the default options. You will have to accept the license agreement. You may change the installation folder, but the default one is fine, and pretty much that's it. If you want to download the software and if you want to try to download from the Altair website and you go to the products, data analytics and artificial intelligence solutions and browse around, at least I have not been able to find any link, and when I tried to sign up for the website, I was not able. You may go to Altair AI Studio or the RapidMiner, which is how it used to be called, but you won't find really any download links. I had to download it from the old website, which is where I actually could create an account and also apply for licenses, which is something we'll also have to do. The URL will be provided with the course, but the URL is my.rapidminer. The first time you'll have to register for the website. After you fill this form, you will receive an email to activate that account. And after you have activated the account, you can actually sign in with your credentials. When you sign in with your credentials, you'll see a dashboard. In the dashboard, the first link is downloads. And over here, you can download for Windows or Mac or Linux AI Studio. That's the only software we'll be using in this course. You can also download other products, but the only one we'll be needing is AI Studio. Download it for your platform. After downloading it, you may continue with this tutorial. However, the version you have downloaded is limited. It will have just a free license, which is limited to 10,000 rows, 10,000 pieces of information. At some point, and you could do it after using it for the first time, you're going to have to go to this link, educational program, and apply for an educational license. It's a 1-year license with which remove all the restrictions from the software, and you will be able to use it with all the functionality for any dataset size. The license will probably take a couple of days to be approved. And then after it's been approved, if you go here to licenses, you will see that besides the free license that you get just for signing up to the website, you have an educational license. In your case, it will expire about 1 year later. You may have not this section about expired licenses. I have that section because I've been using these licenses for a long time for this type of courses. Okay, we are done with the installation. When we click finish, it will launch AI Studio. And when it launches for the first time, it will ask which license service to use, either the Altair one or the RapidMiner Studio one. You also may appreciate, and that's the case in my computer, that this window looks funny. This next button looks a little bit funny, and it connect to Altair License Manager system looks funny. I'll get to that in a moment. It may not occur, this problem may be fixed, or you may not be using Windows 11. In Windows 10 I did not have this issue, but in Windows 11 this seems to be an issue. I'll explain in a moment what's going on. However, it's important that at this step you select use the RapidMiner license system if you actually register in that system. If you are seeing this video a lot of time after the end of 2024, this may already have changed because right now Altair, who has bought RapidMiner, is moving servers and is changing things around. I have not been able to register in the Altair License Manager system, so I'm using the RapidMiner one. Maybe later the RapidMiner will disappear, but right now in fall 2024, my recommendation is use the RapidMiner one. It's the only one I've been able to use, and you have to select here in this step. Now the tool launches, and it will ask for the credentials to download the licenses, either the free license or the educational license if you already applied for it and it was approved. It may also happen that the tool crashes through this process, as it did in my computer. If the tool did not crash, you just need to go to the next step. You can go ahead a few minutes in this video tutorial. If the tool crashed, then you need to look for environment variables. If you have your computer in Spanish, is variables de entorno. Edit environment variables. And you're gonna have to create a new one. I don't know what this happens, but sometimes it doesn't allow me to create variables. So I just have to do the same thing again. In this case, I'll access through that the variables through this button over here, edit environment variables, and over here it does allow me to create a new system variable. The system variable name that we have to create is uppercase J to uppercase D underscore uppercase D 3 uppercase D G2D underscore D3D, and the value has to be false. There seems to be some issue with the Java version that Altair AI is using with the graphical part with DirectX API of Windows. This solves that issue. So you have to create this system variable G2D underscore D3D value false. Okay, okay. And now AI Studio should not die and it should actually launch. You can click start normally. You don't have to disable nothing. If you create that environment variable, at least according to my test, everything seems to work fine. And when you finally manage to launch the tool, it will ask you for your credentials. You have to use the credentials you used to register in the My RapidMiner website. And after you log in, it will download the license, either the free license if you still have not applied for the educational one, or the educational one. In my case, I have the educational license. It says over there, Altair AI Studio Educational. And the first time, sorry. Okay, I don't know why it got so sticky. Okay, the first time, maybe it's all these windows, maybe later. Okay, the window is not responding. I don't know what happened there. It's the first time that occurs. Okay, this time it seems to be working. The first time you launch it, it didn't do it. This second time, AI Studio wants to do a tutorial. It's fine if you do it. It can be helpful. I'm just going to explain a few concepts about the tool over here. The tool is very similar to any IDE for developing code in any language. This area over here is where we have the projects and the data sources. The projects in reality in this tool are called processes. Over here we have the operators, is what we use to import data, to pre-process the data, and also the machine learning models. This is the main work area. Over here we set up properties of the different operators we are using. And down here we have documentation help about the operator we have selected in the process area. If you go to the samples, these are sample data sets and also some sample processes / projects that RapidMiner has. If you drag the golf dataset to the process area and you click on the output port of the dataset and connect it to the output port of the process. This is the weather dataset, also called golf dataset. If you click the play button, it will run the process, which is just connecting the data to the output of the process. And we can see first how we have a row number. The tool adds this to every single data set. This was not part of the data we imported. We see here that we have one column which is called play, which is in green because it's a special column. The tool says that is a special attribute is the class, which in the tool is called label. We have 14 examples. Those are the rows. Those are the instances. That example is the name that AI Studio uses for instance or feature vector or object. We have 14 rows and 4 normal regular attributes, the 4 attributes that we have in the golf dataset. I go back to the designer. We of course also have here the iris dataset. If we run it, we have 4 attributes set by length and width, although they are called A1, A2, A3, A4. We have the green attribute, which is the class, the label, and we have a blue attribute. The blue attribute is a unique ID that this version of the iris dataset has. That's why it says down here that it has 2 special attributes, the class called label in AI Studio and a unique ID. We can import new datasets into RapidMiner. By default, they are done in the local repository. If you right click over there and click configure, you can see the path in which the local repository is located. You may use that path in the case that you perform regular backups of that folder. If don't, I recommend that you create another repository and you store your processes and your datasets in that other repository. The processes are the work that you are doing. If you lose the computer because somebody steals it, or if the hard drive gets encrypted by a virus and it breaks, stop working, you will lose all your work if you don't have backups. So it's important that wherever you store what you did with RapidMiner is a place that is frequently backed up somehow. In my case, I have a folder under my documents for the machine learning in biomedicine course, and I have an AI Studio folder, which right now is empty. That's the folder where I want to store all what I create here. I also have over here the data folder. The data folder is the result of uncompressing the data.zip file, which was provided with this course and which contains the examples we'll be using through the practical sessions. Down there are 4 different folders: classification, clustering, preprocessing, regression, which are devoted to, they are datasets which are more geared toward different data analysis tasks, whether they are classification, prediction of a label, regression, prediction of a number, preprocessing, and so on. So I want this folder over there, AI Studio, to be the one where I store everything. So I'm going to create, because I cannot change the default, the folder or the default local repository, I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to call it my repository. Doesn't really matter the name that you use, my repository. I'm not going to use the default location because I'm going to use my own location in the AI empty folder. I'm going to click finish. And now I have the default local repository plus the new repository that I have created. And I'm going to import some data into that repository. I'm going to do it using this button over there. When you import data using that button, that dataset gets transformed into an AI Studio dataset. You will be able to do the same as you could do with the default datasets that come within the tool. There is a second option in the case that you want to just have a quick look to a dataset, but you don't want to have it permanently stored in the tool, or it's a very large dataset and you don't want to copy it twice by importing it into the tool. But let's start with this option. You may connect to a database, and in this case, just is the local computer. In this folder, in data, I'm going to go to the classification folder, and I'm going to import the breast tissue.xls. That's an Excel spreadsheet. I'm going to go to the folder and to the Excel spreadsheet in the File Explorer for all the datasets that you have in the zip file. Besides having the dataset itself, sometimes it's an Excel file, other times it's a CSV or .arff, which is WCAG format, is another tool for data analysis. But besides the dataset itself, in all the cases, there is a TXT file. The TXT file contains information about the dataset. If you want to understand what the dataset is about, for example, this dataset is impedance measurement that were made at these frequencies of samples, tissue samples taken from breast of women who were suspected of having cancer. And over here we have the name of the attributes that we had in the datasets. And this is the class, this is the final type of tissue that it was, whether it was a carcinoma or it was just adipose tissue or glandular tissue or what type of tissue it is. This dataset is used typically to predict the class from the impedance measurements. In all the cases, as a matter of fact, that dataset is a dataset for which I don't have a lot of information, because typically you're going to have much more information such as the publication, where it was first used, that dataset, more details about how it was acquired, the values of the possible values of the attributes, and so on. So you want to understand what the different datasets are, where do they come from, and so on, check the text file which comes with the dataset itself. We go back to importing the breast tissue dataset into RapidMiner. We select it and click Next. There are several sheets in this Excel spreadsheet. The first one is just a summary of the data, telling us how many samples we have for each type of breast tissue. The second datasheet is actually the data itself. In the next slide, we can change configuration about the columns that we are importing. For example, the first one, the case number, is a unique ID. If I click the down one arrow and go to change role, I can tell RapidMiner that that column is an ID, is not a regular attribute, it's a unique ID, and therefore this should not be used as part of the data analysis. And I can also go to the class and change role and tell RapidMiner that is a label. Label is how RapidMiner calls the class. That means that's the thing I want to predict. In the case that some attribute was imported in the wrong format, for example, it was a real number, but it was imported as an integer or vice versa, or RapidMiner thought it was polynomial, which means it can take multiple nominal values such as race, Caucasian, Asian, African. However, in reality, that attribute was something like gender, male, female. It was binomial, so I can change to binomial. RapidMiner thought it was polynomial. So if there was some issue with when importing the data, when I visualize here the columns, I see, okay, this is in reality an integer or a real number, and it was imported in the wrong way. I can change it. Over here, the tool is doing the right decision. In all the cases, they all are real numbers, and they have been imported as real numbers. In the next step of the wizard is asking me where do you want to store it. I'm going to store it in my repository, not the default one. And over here I have the data set. When I finish importing it, it's visualizing it. But if I go here to design, I can see that under my repository, I have this data set. I can drag it here like the other two repositories that already came with AI Studio. And I can run the process and I see over here all the different 9 regular attributes, the class and the unique ID. If I go to operators, data access, over here I have operators to connect to the cloud, to suck data from different databases, and to write and store data in files. There are 13 operators to read different file formats. Let's go, for example, to CSV, which is a very common format. In this case, the operator will access a data source which is external to AI Studio, and it will read it and it will put it temporarily just while running the process into AI Studio. It will not be something that I have over here permanently. In order for the operator to work, it needs to know which file to open. This is where we configure the different operators. Over here is the file, the CSV file. So I'm going to click over there. I'm going to go to the data. Okay, this is wherever you have uncompressed the zip that I provide with the data sets for the course. Double click over there, go to classification, and let's import, for example, the credit-g CSV file. If I run the process, it seems that there is a single attribute with name, checking status, duration, credit history, purpose, credit amount. And I can see that clearly that was not imported properly. It seems that AI Studio believes that there is a single attribute over there. When these things happens, it's always a good idea to check what's stored in the file that I'm importing. To do so is good to have a powerful text editor, like Notepad++, but any text editor that you have in your computer is fine. I can see that first there is one line over here, which is the header, checking status, comma, duration, comma, credit card history, and so on. And I can see that there are lines with the different instances of the dataset, and the comma, less than 0, comma, 6, comma, critical order existing credit card, comma, radio TV, comma, a number, comma. I can see that the separator in this CSV file is the comma. However, by default, if I go back to the RapidMiner, to the designer, and I select the read CSV, the separator of the columns is the semicolon. I have to replace it by the comma. If I rerun the process, now I have set the right separator, and I have over here the 21 attributes. The last one is the class. The goal of this data set is to predict the credit score of different people. Each people is one of the rows based on the information available. If I want to tell RapidMiner that this is what I want to predict, I can use another data manipulation operator. It will be over here in blending. However, instead navigating to it, in general, is much faster if you know the name of the operator, or you know some keywords of the name of the operator and search for it. This operator is called setRoll. I tap setRoll. I didn't type the E, but it already has it here. It filters, and we can very easily find the operator. I drag it over here. The data, the CSV file goes to the operator, and the operator needs to be configured. What I want to configure is that the column, the attribute whose name was class, is in reality a label. It's not a regular attribute. If now I click the play button, the class appears in green, is recognized as a class, and over here it says that we have one special attribute. The last thing I'm gonna do is to save this process /project, AI Studio project. If I go here and click Save As, Process As, it tells me, okay, in which local repository. I'm using my repository. Again, if you backup the folder of the local repository is fine. And I'm going to call it, for example, my first process. My first process. Now it's over there. If I close AI Studio, when I launch it again, I will be able to see that the process is over there and the data that I imported, it will also be over there. And besides that, this AI Studio folder that it was empty, now I see that it has stuff. This is the breast tissue dataset, and this is the first process, right? So it has stuff. This is what I will need if I want to using another computer or restore after some issue the work I have done in AI Studio. If I go here, blank process, I don't really care about those templates. I can see here the breast tissue dataset, and I can see here my first process. If I double click it, I see here the process as I left it. So this concludes this first video tutorial.